Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Welcome everybody to this special broadcast of Shaykh Fadhlalla commenting on Ayaat of the Quran al-Kareem. On the one hand, COVID-19 times has spiked the intensity of our self-questioning and bewilderment at all the unknowns and uncertainties. Most of the assumptions on which our lives are based, the things we take for granted, like freedom of movement, the ability to earn a living, direct social engagement, worship in physical congregation, all of these have been disrupted. On the other hand, Ramadan offers us, as always, an opportunity for refreshing our mindset and deepening and elevating our awareness. So it's with great pleasure that we welcome Shaykh Fadhlalla to share with us his insights into the Quran al-Kareem so that we can have more to contemplate during this month. This is the first of a few broadcasts, inshallah, where Shaykh Fadhlalla will talk about issues that affect us. For example, the role and use and purpose of religion, the role of suffering in our lives. What are we to make of it? Is suffering to be understood as punishment? Where is God's mercy in all of this? Some of these broadcasts will be done in conversation with other people, such as Ali Alawi, author of The Crisis of Islamic Civilizations, and also Sheikh Saadi, Neil Douglas Klotz. And more information will be made available about those later. Here we have Shaykh Fadhlalla. Welcome, Shaykh Fadhlalla.
Thank you.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. من ذا الذي يقرض الله قرضا حسنا فيضاعفه. Sorry, I have it very small, I can't see.
Fine, I know the ayah.
Yeah.
This is a
Can I read it just in English first?
Sure.
Okay. Who is it that will offer to Allah a goodly loan?
That's fine. Let them look it up in the Quran. I'll tell you what this wonderful ayah represents. There are numerous ayahs where this voice of the Absolute descends towards the relative, which is us, in order for us to be able to climb up this ladder. So this ayah says, and where are those who can loan God a goodly loan? So is God is coming to my bank for a loan or what? It's a metaphor, meaning which one of you is intelligent enough to give an aspect or part of or all of what is considered of value, which is your life, which is the so-called you. Give it back. It's not yours. Where did you get it from? Meaning, the more you dedicate your so-called self, your nafs, your outer activities towards higher values, towards charity, towards generosity, towards abandonment, the more you will be rewarded. So it's a transaction between the visible and the invisible, between the insan and the Rahman, between the identity and reality, which is universal. So that's all what it means. It says, you have no option other than offering the best you have, your life, your time, what is of value to you. So there are about a dozen other ayahs that give a fuller meaning to this, such as لن تنالوا البر حتى تنفقوا مما تحبون. You will never be considered amongst the abrar, the sincere, the real, the honest ones, unless you give that which you want to keep. So that is about loaning. My life is not mine. Where did I get it from? So the sooner I realize that I will spend my days and nights and my short, if you like, transition in this life to the life giver, I will be rewarded manifold, meaning I will realize actually that I am alive because of the light of the light giver in my own heart. So is there anything more valuable than this? So that is the story.
Thank you, Shaykh Fadhlalla. The next one is the first ayah of Surah An-Nisa. So it's 4:1. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي. And in English it is, O mankind, be conscious of your sustainer who has created you out of one living entity, and out of it its pairs, its mate. And out of the two spread abroad a multitude of men.
The foundation is based on cosmic unity, which permeates and appears to be diluted until it comes to this plethora of diversities, dualities, pluralities, multiplicities, and so on. All of it emanates from that cosmic source of unity, sustained by it, and returns to it. So this is the same also as the gender issue of duality in case of humanity, man and woman. We're all emanating from the same ruh. The arwah are all essentially the same. They are cosmic, they are celestial, activating connectedness with the terrestrial through the intermediary of something which connects on both sides, to the infinite on one side and to the finite on the other side. That is my mind. My mind is alive because of energies that are cosmic. But on the other side, it discerns the good and the bad and the hot and the cold and the night and the day and the man and the woman. So it's in between. We are, all of us as human beings, in transit. We are undergoing a transition from the infinite cosmic oneness by its grace via lower levels of discrimination, of dualities, of appropriateness or non-appropriateness, tuned, not tuned, honest, dishonest, back again to that. So we are here in transit. And as such, we have to be continuously aware of our intention, our action, and all of the other things that are in between, appropriate skills, appropriate time, appropriate place, and so on and so on. So this first ayah tells us whether you are man or woman or whatever in between, we are all under the same, if you like, jurisdiction and the same responsibility of waking up to the ruh. Once you wake up to the ruh, then the gender disappears. In the meantime, because of the animal in us, which has evolved over billions of years, there are many traces of the animal in us. The violence we express, the fear, the sorrow, all of the other emotions is a link between the lowest level of the animal and the higher level of a soul. So all of it is in between. We're here in transit. We are in the middle of an ocean, and if you are fortunate enough, through trust, through work, through perpetual awareness, every now and then your head may just go a bit above the water level, and you see some magnificent sights. And the more your sight is more insight, the more you are, in a way, spared the usual
agonies, sufferings, and fears. Otherwise, that is the common notion. Everyone is constantly battling to avoid which they don't like and attract that which they like. And by the time they get it, it changes. You've got the house, you've got the money, you've got the car, you've got even your private plane. Now you can't fly because of the tiniest invisible entities had afflicted the whole world. So look at the whole thing. And people think they have control. Control on what? The only thing you can watch is not to slip down against evolution, going back into being a monkey. Not that the monkey is bad. There are many, many monkeys who are far more actually, wholesome than human beings. So this is who we are. We are in between the light of the infinite, transiting through dualities, multiplicities, complex entities, back again into the origin. Very well. That's the whole story.
Thank you. The next verse is Surah 70, Ayah 19, 20, and 21. إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ خُلِقَ هَلُوعًا إِذَا مَسَّهُ الشَّرُّ جَزُوعًا. And the last one is وَإِذَا مَسَّهُ الْخَيْرُ مَنُوعًا.
It's because of the illusion of separateness from truth, from reality, from the absolute, or from God, or from Allah. The illusion that I'm separate causes me all the time to have anxiety. If good comes, I want to maintain it, ensure it, put barriers, make walls, make vaults, and so on and so on and so on and so on. Equally the reverse. If some adversity touches me, I am exasperated, I am upset, I am angry, I want to find who to blame. And therefore, I'm all the time waging wars. War against this illness, war against poverty, war against this, war. Where is the license for all of this? We are all sharing aspects of life, including that with the virus. Life began with it. We are latecomers. The bacteria, which are here a few hundred millions of years ago, were the beginning of where life began, which is the beginning of awareness of awareness. And that is, if you like, the rise of Adam. Some amazing miracle in evolution took place, which is that awareness of my present, awareness of being present, and so on and so on. So we are sharing aspects of this miracle of life with zillions of other creatures. We don't have exclusivity, including with the plants. We have to ask permission. They too are alive and they want to continue being alive. That is their worship, to continue being alive and fill the illusion of so-called space. That's why they produce so many seeds and so many offspring. Fill up the illusion of space. Finish it. Also time. No time. Fill up the time. As soon as any individual human being have a bit of space and time, they fill it up with junk because they are alive. So subconsciously you will fill it up with stuff that you don't need, you're not going to be of any use, and on and on and on. This is who we are. We are, in this sense, constantly being challenged in this life as to what is that matters most. What is it essential? What is most essential is for me to be present in the moment. If I am present in the moment, that moment is infinite. It had no beginning and no end. Like, if you like, the Rahmah, like the divine light. It is perpetual, constant, and eternal. And if I ride on that, then that's it. I've done what is my duty, which is to save myself, from the illusion of being separate, different. And this is where the issue of nafs and ruh comes. Essentially, I am a ruh. but cannot be understood except through its shadow. Like the sun, you cannot really fully understand its power, its presence, its arc, unless I look a bit of a shadow. So the same thing with this, the ruh, the spirit, the soul, and its shadow, which is the so-called me, identified with me, which is only there so that I am at full attention to my soul and spirit, because I don't want to die. We fear death. We don't know its nature. All what I know is I got used to this body, the mind, my history, and my biography. You want to maintain it. Meaning, I am in adoration, even I don't know what adoration or worship is. I'm adoring perpetuity, continuity, eternity, which are the attributes of my soul and of the divine. That's the story.
Thank you, Shaykh Fadhlalla. The next two ayats follow on from each other and are to do with prophethood, the role of prophethood in relationship to what you've now been speaking. So the verses are from Surah 33, ayahs 45 and 46. يا أيها النبي إنا أرسلناك شاهدا ومبشرا ونذيرا وداعيا إلى الله بإذنه وسراجا منيرا.
If you have faith or trust or any belief, then this is the ayah that gives you the basic parameters of the path of the prophetic way and the path of Islam. The first thing an intelligent person do as they get mature and older, they want to see things for what they are. They tell me the truth. Did it fall or didn't fall? Is it green or is it red? Don't tell me. I want to know. So witness, to see things for what they really are, how temporary, how permanent, how so-called closer to the real and the real, but further and further away they are transitory. So, shahid. This word has got about 20 other branches to that tree. And the same word exactly also mean honey, shahd. So, the first thing a mature, evolving, developing person wants to know is to witness things that are, do you really love me? Would you love me always? Would you love me even if I am, doing dreadful things? Would you love me unconditionally and on? Or would you still respect me? What? So witness. And to witness, you need to have all your faculties. You can't be too biased. You can't be emotionally disturbed. If you are in the middle of a fight, you cannot witness the fight. It must be somebody who has no stake in it. He's just seeing it for what it is. Even that is difficult. Even facts are difficult to ascertain. Who hit who first, whatever. Depends on the angle you were in. Somebody comes in to rob 20 people, and there will be 20 stories about the so-called fact. So witnessing is not an easy thing. It is a very high state of connecting sight with insight. Then you see it. Give them the good news. The good news that there is no you separate from the real truth, which is eternal, which is your own soul. That is the good news. Good news is that the apparent you is only alive or functioning because of the nur of Allah in your own heart. That's the good news. And the nur of Allah is eternal. So what is the fear? Death is the most natural gateway to the greatest openings, without all the fears and anxieties and sorrows and regrets and guilts that human beings have. So this is the good news. The good news is the real you is a gift from the divine. And if you truly live the real you, then you are alive without fears, sorrows, anxieties, guilt, and all of this. So this is the Bashar. Also, Bashar is the outer aspect of the skin. So it tells you itself. There's only the reality, there's only the truth, there's only Allah. Then, and if you don't follow that path, of being at one with the one in your own heart, nadhiran, you will suffer. So you are warned. You are given the good news, and it is balanced by the warning. Nadhiran, that you will only suffer more and more until you are really ready for perpetual suffering of the fire after death. And then, وَدَاعِيًا إِلَى اللَّهِ بِإِذْنِهِ. I call people, there is only that one. It's an amazing miracle that this life is like this, and we don't know where else it is or how else does it manifest other than the form or the means we are accustomed to it here. So call people, there's only Allah. We're here only in order to prove that separation, individuality are only outer shadows of the light of eternity. That's all. We're here to prove haqq. And then, وَسِرَاجًا مُنِيرًا. And if nobody is there, you are an illumined lamp. You are no longer hankering after, other people or being famous. You don't. So therefore, in the terms of true spirituality, the person who is most accomplished in that sense is the being who is least concerned about earthly, worldly recognition. If you are experiencing the absolute bliss of the cosmic oneness, you're no longer interested in the outer worldly acknowledgement. Doesn't mean you don't realize it. Doesn't mean you don't know. No, you have more followings, or it's a good time to teach people, or it's a time to be silenced. You understand these things, but it doesn't affect you. It doesn't mean also you do not empathize with people. A mother has lost her only child and is desperately for food. You empathize, but it does not overwhelm you. You're not going to crush under that sad event. So this is the ayah. If you pretend or wish and hope to be on the prophetic path, these are the different steps you need to take together. They're not separate. First, you witness. I'm not in a good shape, not good in a good state, or I feel not. Admit that, make allowance for it, and then give the good news that even your pain is good for you. So as you put an end to it, this is the bishara. And the nadhir, and also if you get more and more hooked into being abusive, then all of your actions become abusive. This is nadhir. This is the warning. And then call to Allah as rahmah, mercy upon grace upon grace. And then if there is nobody there, you're in it. It is the ultimate, and it is the main reality. That's all.
Bismillah. The next ayah connects to the idea of wahi, and that whoever follows it, the benefit is for themselves. It's from Surah 39, ayah 41. إِنَّا أَنزَلْنَا عَلَيْكَ الْكِتَابَ لِلنَّاسِ بِالْحَقِّ فَمَنِ اهْتَدَى فَلِنَفْسِهِ وَمَنْ ضَلَّ فَإِنَّمَا يَضِلُّ عَلَيْهَا وَمَا أَنْتَ عَلَيْهِمْ بِوَكِيلٍ.
You are here a connector, same thing as the mind connects the absolute with the relative. Mind cannot do anything other than that. Same thing as the messenger, the same thing as a teacher, the same thing as a good wisher. You can just warn them. If you continue doing that, you're doomed. You can't force people. La ikraha fi din. You can't be a fascist disguised as a religious person or as a spiritual teacher. You can't do that. They have to have enough intelligence, which are at so many levels, to using that intelligence to choose. Intelligence is as a torch. It shows the base, the ground, the earth, and it goes more in front of you and also shows higher. So it's through intelligence, if people are still healthy enough, wanting the best for themselves, they will choose. So your voice, your teaching, whatever the Quran, is helpful. That's why the Quran repeatedly reminds us that it does not help those who have no faith or trust in it. It's no use. So you must have hope, faith, trust that you will move on within you towards the higher of you, from the lower self towards your own soul. That's it.
And then, thank you. And then the next one is from Surah Rahman, which is the most often repeated ayah in the surah. فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ. Which then of the favors or bounties of your Lord will you deny?
Again, Surah Al-Rahman, Rahma is that there is duality emanating from unity, indicating unity. So the whole surah is about that. 2, 2, 2, 2. Also in our case, the so-called ins, we are us. There is also the equivalent to us, which is the jinn. And in a conventional, traditional way, this is what the two are addressed, the ins and the jinn. How can we deny it, that we are on a path? How can we deny that we have desires? How can we deny we want to move and change and reach a point where we are truly content? True contentment belongs to the ruh. The ruh is ever content. So I want to be at one with my ruh. And the proof of it is that I will struggle all the time not to succumb to my egotistic tendencies of fear, anger, whatever, all of that. How can we deny all the signs? Wherever you turn, there is a sign. Even if you don't turn, there is a sign in you. There are signs within. So we are caught in the web of Rahman. That's how it is. Rahman. So there is Rahman and there is Rahim. Rahman is universal. Rahman is for the virus. The virus is alive because of the Rahman. But when it comes to my fear of the virus, then I besiege the Rahim, because there is a me now. I have identified myself. There is a me. There is a pain. I don't like the pain. So there is already an identification of separation. I can't deny it. But the more I practice, the realization of this separation is only a fuel to get back to the cosmic oneness from which I've emerged, to which I return. Then it becomes easier. I say, yes, no, the time had come for me to leave my body, and I have died. Hallelujah. That's it.
Thank you very much, Shaykh Fadhlalla. We would like to have you answer some questions, if you wouldn't mind.
Bismillah.
With Ramadan being upon us, and your teachings to try to always calibrate the self with the soul, and to, as you just said now, always move from duality back to unity. So in the light of that, could you suggest 1 or 2 or 3 of the most effective ways for intensifying this calibration during Ramadan?
If you are on wudu, that means you have now dedicated your so-called self to the real soul. Then you want to maintain that attitude. And there are numerous stories about how the wudu gets broken also, by saying something without it coming from your heart as well, and so on and so on and so on. Now, I don't want to go too much to the traditional, if you like, wonderful ways that people quickly emerge from their animaldom to the divine kingdom. Now, in our time, you can use all kinds of techniques during this month and all other times to remind yourself. One easy way is when you start anything new, whether it's cooking, whether it's serving, truly start with Bismillah. For other people's sake, to be neutral, to be calm, to be less fearful of loss of provision or lack of provision. People, as you know, the first few days of Ramadan become quite nervous because of the habits. And habits, like everything else, have 2 sides. One is a very good thing. You want habitually, you can't lie. Habitually, you are a kind person. Or equally, it has the other side. Habitually, you are denying the fact that you are in transit. Habitually, you are denying that death is far away, and so on. So if you undertake any action or any movement or any even physical movement, Bismillah, Bismillah, being aware that the air goes in, may not come out. Being aware that any minute you may die. Are you content? Are you truly cheerful with leaving your body? I think this is as good a practice as any. So you become more and more beyond even these words of calibration or unison, or you are a ruh. It's just that we have become habitually concerned about you only live once, you only live once. Become a mantra, and therefore you cannot move without falling into a mole, really, and being mollified. That's how it is now. It's all about matter, material, more. But it's because it's a perverted echo of what your ruh has. It's not more, it's infinite. It is Allahu Akbar, not Allahu Kabir. So we've fallen into Allah Kabir, so I want to be Kabir. I want to have more clothes, more shoes, more houses, more holidays, more money. We've lost trust. So we become accumulative. And now suddenly you find if this virus or other forms of it come, which I think things will not come back to so-called normal. It was a dreadful normal. If it lasts for another 10 years, what are you going to do? Where are you going to wear all the clothes you have accumulated? Or all the restaurants that you have made a mental note that one day I will visit? Top restaurants you had to wait for 6, 7, 8 months in order to get a seat. Now they beg you. Where are they? Where is the chef? Can you imagine if you have aspired all your life to be the chef in one of these restaurants, 2-star, not 3-star Michelin, and now where are you? Who are you? Where is the place? Put things in perspective. But no, business as usual. Human beings have always been given these shocks for us to take real stock as to who are we, where are we, what, and so you enjoy this life. وَلِمَنْ خَافَ مَقَامَ رَبِّهِ جَنَّتَانِ. You are already feeling you are in the garden. Appears to be temporary. Until you leave your body, then you move into the permanent. So we are not living as befits the offsprings of Adam. That's the truth of it. That's why we are behaving in many cases worse than the most aggressive, dreadful animals. That's how it is. But, be grateful because it could get worse.
Thank you, Shaykh Fadhlalla. Actually, you almost, as usual, answered quite a few of the other questions that I had because they were related to it, which was how to shed fear in this time of global confusion. But you've given us some indications here about how to do that. And you've also referred to the accumulativeness of our species and all our material pursuits. But perhaps some of that is to do with the growing feeling of nihilism. And even when we do try to take on yoga or meditation, we're only feeling it may not be as effective because we're trying to fill the void of meaninglessness in our lives. So how can we make these practices that we turn to really effective? How can we connect to meaning?
Meanings are bridges. There are millions of bridges that we experience. Some of them are literal, physical, whatever. Some of them are more and more subtler, meaning, away from form. So there are infinite bridges that connect the visible and the invisible and the temporary with the permanent. I just wanted to make a few comments about fear. Like everything else in life, it has a good side of it, to fear that I don't repeat the same stupidities and same mistakes, the same greed, the same suspicions, the same anger. So this is good fear. So I suffered from it. I don't want to repeat it. I don't like suffering. We are programmed not to suffer, not to have sorrow, not to have anyway. So then, once I've done what I can, then fear becomes counterproductive. If you have done what you can, you're aware, you have asked, you have used your reason, rationality, taken, if you like, experts and so on, and then trust and give up. And if you leave your body, you leave your body. It's not a big deal. So face it. If you have done what you can, you have, so you are ready any moment to leave your body. There's no fear more than that. So you do not overcome fear. You realize fear was useful for your existential balance, continuity as a human. That's all. But anything more than that becomes counterproductive. So fear that you are not at one with the one is the ultimate. When you are constantly in that zone, touching that zone of, if you like, supreme consciousness, then you're not concerned about your limited consciousness, which is you're thinking that you are alive and you are this identity and you are this person and you have washed your face or not. These are boring, limited, conditioned consciousness, which you have to perform. But they're all tiny little, if you like, manifestations of supreme consciousness. This is the idea of relating them, putting things in perspective. Otherwise, a small little emotional hiccup becomes a big, drama. Respond to it if you can, do something, because you are designed to maintain balance, goodness, harmony, flow, and all of that. Do your best with that. And that's all. And then you are present. And if you are present, you have been accessing the divine presence for you. That's it. Very simple. Has to be done. And you need to be with people who are on that path.
So how then to prepare for our own deaths, our own death?
Who's your own? Who are you? Who are you? Your death. That is another experience, the same thing as sleep and wake. It's another wakefulness. That's all. I see most people, in fact, all are sleepwalkers. So I don't know what they're talking about death. They're already there. They're actually not as courteous as the dead. The dead are courteous enough, they've given up and they're there, and they're, to be quite frightful if all of a sudden you find 50 people from the cemetery got up at the same time. Really? There's no you. It's an illusion, which is a good one that leads to the original conclusion, which is Kan Allah wa lam yakun shay'an ma'ah. It's out of generosity. It's that plethora of generosity of ruh. What is the ruh? It's a bundle of divine energy that replicates cosmic, if you like, reality. It's a big thing, but we don't realize it. That's why the Quran also says this gift was given to the mountains and this, and they couldn't take it. Only the idiot human being took it. Jahula, innahu kan. If it was not for ignorance, he wouldn't have taken this immense, unfathomable, thing called life. It's not our life. We're here to witness it, resonate with it, celebrate it, and be in ecstatic, if you like, state that I experience it separately and I experience it in unity. I mean, what an amazing miracle. I experienced that I have certain responsibility. I have to take care of my health. So I've been given a bit of that godhood to play with, a little bit. I can do things, I can move my arm, I can change. If I change for the better, then that's on the right direction. So I've been given a bit of that play to be a mini God for a little while. And if I acknowledge that it is all from God himself, then fine, then I'm on the path. If not, I become arrogant, and the biggest fault most people suffer from is arrogance, self-delusion. I'm so important. They didn't respect me. Who are you to respect? If you're 5 days dead in a desert, can anybody respect their stinking body? What you talking? We can't, we're not using our imagination enough. That's why Hollywood has taken over for our imagination. Really. It's all fantasy, all fantasy. That's why we are at a very low ebb. We're in a very dark, dark spot, which is also good news because after maximum darkness will also come a breakthrough. And the Quran is full of it. We are here لِيُخْرِجُكُم مِّنَ الظُّلُمَاتِ إِلَى النُّورِ. So we come out of the numerous different wombs and layers and levels of darkness to the light. Truth is only light. You can't take it like the light of the sun. It has to be reduced until it becomes what we consider to be true. It's not true. Short-lived. At that moment, yes, it's true. It is true that I was alive, but for how long? You were alive for a few years. What is few years compared to even the 5-6 billions of years, which is also nothing in terms of infinitude of time? We're not alive. We really need to have not been given the real true education as to who are we, who is it, where is it not. We've only given a bit of an existential, tricks to become an accountant or a doctor and so on. They're all ignorant people. And they have got few skills in order to bring what we think is a bit of a civilization. It's a very dark one.
SubhanAllah. So given that we are all being reminded that we are all subject and nobody is free from the threat, for example, that this virus symbolizes, what is the role of religious identity in this time? I mean, sometimes we think it does appear and feel that our very Islam, or the way that we understand the deen of Islam, is a barrier. Is it time, one of the questions is posing, is it time to forget about our religious identity?
You can't forget anything, this is part of heritage, it's humanity. Things have come a long way in the last 15, 20,000 years. We have all benefited from all of the different amazing events in the world, different world religions and revelations and so on, cultures. Again, a religion and a culture cannot be separated a lot. And the path of Muhammad explained a lot of wonderful gifts that had come before him, whether it was the other world religions or the great many thousands of prophets and apostles and so on. So the benefit has seeped to humanity. Take the issue of Sharia. The Sharia of Islam has filtered through human beings for the last 800-900 years. It has benefited humanity beyond our imagination. In that, be just to all human beings. Consider them all as equal, all human beings. Man and woman equally. You can't force things to anybody. They have to accept it. They have to consent, and on and on and on. So this had become the foundation of what is nowadays called human rights. So it's done its work. It's not redundant, but it is no longer that language or that culture is used in everyday's life. So it isn't redundant. It has served its purpose. It's seeped everywhere. It's like an amazing river that has nourished the orchards and the plants. Now, in a sense, we are at another era where you don't need to constantly say وحده لا شريك له. You don't need to say وحده. Even youngsters in a school, they know there is one field that is cosmic. They call it also the singularity, from which there was nothing else other than it. So and our deen says, كان الله ولم يكن شيئا معه. And also it says, and he is exactly as it is then. So it has moved into another zone. The young people will not benefit from the conventional 500-year-old, if you like, mosque-related type of madrasa or teaching. It doesn't mean it's redundant, but no. For these people, you have to say, look, there's only one from which everything has emerged, including you, including your friends, including your family. And the more you realize that oneness, the less you'll be quarrelsome, the less you blame others and claim and become arrogant. And that one has also given you all the means to be at all times gentle, sincere, and modest. You're hanging on air. Who are you? You suddenly become a tyrant and a pharaoh. In 3 minutes, you become brain dead if there is no air, if you're not breathing. So the young people need to be taught to be reliant on haqq, on one, to lose themselves and be the soul. Easier for them. But for the people in the middle age or older, it's not easy. Say, me, I am this, or you can see how many good things I do. I have got 9 charities and I've got 10 books and I do Quran. It's fine also, but the young people nowadays need a direct injection of Tawheed. Are you muwahhid? Are you ready to give up the illusion that you are managing anything? The giving up of the management of affairs, as Ibn Allah says. You are being given a license to do a bit of these things for a little while. And that license can be withdrawn any minute by air, by a virus. You don't know what. So the ways that were helpful and useful 200 years ago, 100 years ago, are no longer. That's why also, now that, if you look 100 years ago, what were the great mosques? Where were they? Mainly of mud, and maybe few nice ones, also decorated one in Mali and elsewhere, and a bit in Mecca and a bit of somewhere else. And then the last 50 years, we have built this enormous mosque, enormous costs, thousands and millions of tons of marbles. And now nobody can visit now. I mean, doesn't that give us some indication? Because you are not visiting your own light of Kaaba in your own heart. You've not been doing your tawaf and dying in that tawaf in your own heart, so you're not allowed even to visit me. Look, Allah is telling us, nature is telling us in every way, but we are thick. We've become ritualistic without benefiting from the meaning of the rituals. But this is how also suffering returns us to the divine offering. But it takes intelligence. It takes higher intelligence, not just biological or human, no, or clever to doing the others. No, it takes spiritual intelligence, that which is beyond time and space, that which is forever, that whose light is also in me and in you and everyone. That's why we have to respect everyone. Be respected. All right.
We have 2 more questions and then we'll close.
The things are in 2 usually, yes.
Well, then one of the questions is, what is your advice on the key to developing a living, transformative relationship with the Quran? I mean, you talked and referred to the madrasas, and we talk often about the Quran being wrapped and left on the top shelf. So what is the key? What is your guidance to develop a transformative relationship with the teachings of the Quran?
Again, the Quran is a huge gift, and it has many, many levels. One of which is very basic, and it is fantastic, incredible, even if you hear the sound. And moves on and on and on and on until you almost hear the Quran read from your own heart. So you have to be honest to where you are. Take whatever is going to give you nourishment. It's like going into a huge banquet. There are all kinds of strange meals, strange things that you can't, digest. Take what is useful, usable, relevant to you at that time, and move on and on. It's a feast. Until such time, you're not worried about it. You know that voice or the light of that truth will pop at you whenever is needed, because Allah is in you, His nur is in you, and He knows what is needed in truth to elevate you to the real you whenever it is appropriate, not whenever you and I think. So you trust, you do your best and trust. You have no more anxiety. The fact that we are concerned and anxious and need to be tranquilized and so on is a proof that we are off the path. Do whatever is useful to you, take whatever is helpful for you from Quran, and move on, and don't show off. Until such time, you know Allahu hadiri, Allahu nadiri, Allahu ma'i, Allahu khairan ha. Then you don't even say it. You don't, that's it. Honesty. You have to be honest until such time even that word doesn't arise.
SubhanAllah, thank you. Well, you also sort of answered the very last question, which was to describe what is this middle path when everything we know keeps being turned on its head. What is the middle path that we must tread?
You are the middle path. I am the middle path. We're between the infinite and the finite. We're between light of lights and dust that doesn't even exist. So we are the middle. Human being is the middle path between the infinite, which gives him life, which gives him aspiration and drive to wake up, and the identity as a human being with birth and death. We're in the middle. But the more you take your cue and your reference from the absolute, from the light, the more you find the animal side in you, the biographical side in you is all right. Otherwise, they'll all morph into some wild dogs and wolves and bite you. So you have to be careful. Each one of us is a carrier of a zoo. We have emerged from that after millions of years. So be careful. Feed the animal. That's why there is Sharia to speak. It's halal, it's haram, it's allowed. You can do that. But more than that, you have boundaries, because the light in your own heart is boundless. If you don't maintain boundaries, you will not access the boundless. The more you are limited in the outer, the more you experience the limitless in the inner. That's why if you're really intelligent enough, as the prophetic teaching is, take on to uzla. Uzla is self-isolation. That's it. We have not been doing it. The culture is not there. So here Allah's rahmah comes as a virus. So that's wonderful. In my case, of course, I've been used to it. I've been doing it many, many years. So I think it's wonderful. I'm happy that others are beginning to have a touch of it. Bismillah. You have to have a sense of humor about the lower self, about the animal self, about the monkey self in us. That's all. You need few friends so as you can laugh together at the ego, at this stupidity. How much time we wasted, how much years. And that Allah is all forgiving and Allah is ever present. And His nur in you is ever present because you are alive. That's it. Bismillah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdu lillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم سبحان ربك رب العزة سلام عليكم. Celebrate the fact that you have this sentiency, that you have consciousness, which though it may be very limited, but it's not separate from supreme consciousness. There is seamlessness, the connection between the infinite and the finite, the connection between the absolute and the relative, all emanating from the one, energized by the one, returning to the one. Celebrate it constantly in your own heart. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. Thank you so much, Shaykh Fadhlalla. You have given us nourishment on this first day of Ramadan. Thank you. Bless you. Allah barak fikum.